Hey everyone, Yokuo here, and welcome to Yokuo Checks Out, a segment on this channel where we check out things that aren't necessarily video games, so it doesn't quite fall under the Let's Try Friday set. Today we are checking out Nintendo's brand new mini console, the Super Nintendo Classic. Now, for those that were around last year and have seen the video, link in the top right and in the description below, the NES Classic was released last year. It was also very hard to find, but it was very cool. All kinds of neat stuff going on here. The NES Classic had 30 games on it, faithfully emulated. It was so good, guys. And I said in that video, so Nintendo, can I get an SNES Mini now? And Nintendo came through, clearly because they saw the video. What, too much? The Super Nintendo Classic has 20 plus 1 games on it. Not 21, but 20 plus 1 as they market it. The Super Nintendo Classic has 20 mainstay Super Nintendo titles, most of which are going to be very familiar. Now, you might be asking yourself, Yokuo, why 20 plus 1? Why not just 21? The plus 1 game is a very special game. Back in 1994 or 5, something like that, Nintendo was working on Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo, but it never came to be. Most of the assets got reused in Star Fox 64 and the ideas were carried over. But we never got that game. Well, your wait's over, guys. The last official Super Nintendo game by Nintendo is being released with this Super Nintendo Classic in the form of Star Fox 2. You do have to unlock Star Fox 2, but all you have to do is beat the original Star Fox, just the first level of it. Nothing big, nothing too hard. In fact, we might even do it for the channel sometime soon. The Super Nintendo Classic has fixed a few issues from the NES Classic. One of the big issues with the NES Classic was the controllers were only 3 feet long on the cables. A 3-foot cable is nothing. Well, this cable is quite a bit longer. I want to say it's about 5 feet. It's still not great. It doesn't really solve any problems, but you don't have to be directly in front of your TV like a 4-year-old in front of your CRT television. Another very cool aspect of the controllers, and something they did change from the NES Classic. The Super Nintendo Classic has a latch on the front of it. The latch shows the original Super Nintendo controller plugins. When you bring down the latch, it has the same connection as the NES Classic, or different Wii peripherals. In theory, this means you should be able to use the Super Nintendo controller on the NES Classic, or on the Nintendo Wii. I haven't actually tried that as of the time of this recording, so I can't say for sure. Give it a shot, let me know in the comments, did you try that? Did it work? I always did prefer the Super Nintendo controller over the NES one anyway, so I'm hoping it does. Overall, though, there weren't many issues with the NES Classic, so there wasn't much to fix here. The Super Nintendo Classic actually runs on the same OS as the NES Classic. The interface is a little bit different, but it's the same basic system. It's so similar, in fact, that the connections are the same. The power cable and the HDMI port are the same kind of things, to the point where I unplugged my NES Classic and plugged it into the Super Nintendo so I can just switch back and forth as I feel like it. But the real reason you're all here is to see the Super Nintendo Classic and see what it has to offer, so without further ado, let's take a look at the games. We have Contra 3: The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, F-Zero, Final Fantasy III, or Final Fantasy VI as it's officially known, Kirby Superstar, which is one of my favorite games that we've actually done on this channel already, link to that in the top right, Kirby's Dream Course, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Star Fox 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting Edition, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, sorry, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out!, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and last but not least, Super Mario World 2: Yoshi's Island. Right out of the box, this is how your game is going to look. You're going to have the black screen around it, and it's going to be in this type of format. And that's very important. Let me show you why. If you come up here to Display and open up the display menu, you have several different options, just like the NES Classic. You have a 4:3 display, which is your default. You have Pixel Perfect, which shows the game exactly the way it used to be on your old TV. It looks a little tighter than what you might be used to, honestly, but this is how it looked. This shows you every pixel one for one, nothing stretched out. And you have CRT Filter. CRT filter is neat because it makes it look like an old CRT television. It gives you those scan lines that you might know and love from your childhood. There are also several kinds of frames you can put around it, so it's not just a black box. I like this one, which is just a glow effect. But you also have this cool techie looking one, these kind of starlight things, that one, this neat watercolor one, this very pastel-y one, a smooth woodwork with a Super Famicom logo on the top right. Insert the space meme from Portal 2 here. An old television with speakers next to it. A curtain, kind of a la Mario 3. A cityscape, which I like that one. I think it's very neat. My favorites are the cityscape, the curtain, and the very simple glow effect. I find the glow effect to be the least intrusive, and the glow will actually change colors as you're playing. My theory on the glow is that it looks at what you're doing and takes the base color that's going on. For instance, right now in Mario World, the sky is very blue, so you're getting a lot of blue. Versus right now, there's a lot of yellow and orange on the screen, so it's showing that. And now with this red cityscape, it's more of a red color. So it just looks at the primary color being shown, not including black apparently, and changes the glow accordingly, which I think is a really neat effect, and it really blends into the scenery well. So let's say you're in the middle of a race with King Dedede, but suddenly you have to leave the house for something, and you don't have time to save the game. Well, that's fine. Just pause the button, hit the reset on the Super Nintendo, which, by the way, the reset button slides up and lets you come back to the main menu, which is very cool. Drop down here to the suspend point list. Then you take your little floating save file thingy, put it wherever you want. I'm going to put it here on slot 2. Hit the Y button, and voila, you have your save point instantly set. So you can come back here anytime you want and continue the race. Every game gets 4 save points. They're all different for every game. So just because you've made 4 saves in Super Mario World doesn't mean that you can't make 4 saves in Super Mario RPG. Going back to the options up here, we have display, which we've discussed. We have options, where you have My Gameplay Demo, which is very cool stuff. My Gameplay Demo looks at save points that you've made, pulls them up, and shows about the last 20 or 30 seconds of gameplay. Instead of an automated computer demo like most games used to have, it shows your actual gameplay footage from right before you save the game. Classic Demo is just a normal stereotypical PC demo, where it shows you the preloaded footage, the preloaded gameplay. And then you have your screen burn-in reduction. You can also reset to factory settings at any point. You have your language, where you can pick from one of 8 different languages. Legal notices for all that legal mumbo-jumbo that we're not going to get into right now, because who has the time, really? And manuals, where you can scan the QR code or go to the website and check out all the manuals for the games. How does the system hold up? Well, good news, everyone. It works very well. The gameplay is spot on, 1-for-1, just how you remember it, or if you've never played before, it's very tight depending on the game. I've played quite a bit of Super Mario World already, and everything feels just like when I was little on the Super Nintendo. The colors are bright and vivid and faithful to their original games. There's no dilution here like on the Wii U's Virtual Console. The controller even feels good. The Super Nintendo controller feels just like how I remember a Super Nintendo controller feeling. The buttons feel very new and unused. The controller has a great feel to it. I cannot overemphasize that. Overall, this is a very solid system full of very cool things. I recommend giving all the games a try and beating level 1 of Star Fox so you can unlock Star Fox 2. The good news is Nintendo actually made some of these consoles, unlike the NES Classic, where they seem to only make about 2 of them for the entire world. Unfortunately, stores are probably going to be sold out of them already, so good luck finding one if you don't already have one pre-ordered. That said, it's not impossible, and Nintendo has said they're going to make consoles going into next year, unlike the NES Classic, which got an abysmal amount of new consoles. So be on the lookout in your local stores or online for this little $80 console. It's small and adorable and does a great job running the games you know and love. And that is the Super Nintendo Classic. It's a very cool console that does very cool stuff that really just cannot be overemphasized. I recommend it wholeheartedly, and I'm going to have a lot of fun playing these old games on mine, and checking out some new games that I've never tried before. So I hope you all enjoyed this little look at the Super Nintendo Classic, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it to the end, you might as well subscribe, you're already here, and check out some of our other content where we play games and do all that kind of stuff. If you like this, let me know. We can do more stuff like this in the future. Whatever you guys want is what we'll do. And be sure to share the video with their friends. They probably want to know about the system as well, especially if they haven't placed the money down on it yet. A lot of people are going to want to know if it's worth it, and you could tell them. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time with a brand new video, maybe even using the Super Nintendo Classic as the thing I'm playing the game on. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.